Hi, I'm Sonia Stovall, founder of No Offense, and today I'm going to show you around the No Offense app. On the left side, you there can see we have 70 users currently. This app launched on Google Play Store October of 2024 and in the Apple Store for iPhones in August of 2024. You can see that we're in the Passion.io. This is where I put together the app and made it available for consumers and users. On the right side here, you see we have the discovery page, landing page. One of the things I've worked to do is ensure that there are different types of media, some video, some audio recordings. I want to make sure that I am targeting people every way that they may learn. Some people are visual learners, some people are auditory learners. Some people like to interact. And so there's definitely a way to do all three of those things with the No Offense app. Here are reviews. You can see here. Here are the pricing plans here at the bottom. This is all very basic things I'm sure you'll see on your own. Learning the perspective of others is the main reason, of course, that No Offense exists. Asking yourself questions. Is it okay to help someone in a motorized chair at the grocery store without asking them if they need help? We all presume we're being nice, but perhaps maybe it's not always helpful. But we don't know that, and it's not something that we think about. And where do we go to get that kind of information? Here are the features lists. This one down here, we're starting to talk about the logo and then the symbol, the Patabo symbol, which is a West African symbol for reconciliation, forgiveness, conflict, all of those things that go together, especially in a workforce type situation. Unfortunately, sometimes when we offend someone, it can become a source of cracks, fissures, and fractures within a company, within a department. It can lead to not being transparent when it comes to promotions or managers or decision making, and someone think to themselves, I wonder if they're still upset about this that happened. And we'll get more into intention versus impact, which the app addresses. So that's the landing page, and then we move into, I want to show you community. So one of the features of No Offense is that I'd like to create a place for people to interact. Of course, we have community rules and policies, and this would be something I believe would be helpful for workforce development as well. We have intention versus impact, which is the cornerstone of everything No Offense does. And then we have places to have discussions, the politics of Black hair, the model minority webinar chat, a discussion on the self-survey. There's a survey that all of the users can take, which is to help them learn more about themselves. And then they can come in and talk about the questions, what they learned about one another, etc. An emotional intelligence quiz. I think we'd all like to think we're emotionally intelligent, but sometimes we have to take those quizzes in front of people or at work or during a training, and we may be more honest with ourselves and we may be more open to what we learn if we had a private place with no judgment where we could take that kind of assessment. There's an unintentional bias community. Some of these may need to be put together. Culinary cultural exchange, I'm very excited about that. I'll talk more about that later as we get into the learning section. There's a tracking feature, which of course is for me to use. So let's get into learning. So the first section, as I talked about, is intention versus impact. So I'm going to open this. This is kind of a welcome to the app. This is a feature that is free to everyone because I feel that it is fundamental. Oftentimes we will say something to someone, especially in a work environment, and we think that we're paying them a compliment, or when they don't feel that it was a compliment, constructive criticism, or however it was intended, rather than focus on the impact what we said may have on the other person. We focus on defending ourselves and our intention. My intention was to give you a compliment. My intention was XYZ. And that doesn't matter. The other person's walking away having been impacted in a certain way. And oftentimes, when someone says something with good intentions, they don't follow up. And here's a place for you to learn more about that and then hopefully move into how do you handle that when your impact does not match your intention. Here is the self-survey that I mentioned. No offense, but are you a brick or a sponge? It talks about navigating the world we live in or the workplace. One of the things that's important to me with no offense and the application is that it be user-friendly in a way where the user gets to know themselves. And so that's what the self-survey is about. So I'm just going to show you some questions in the self-survey. It talks about how do you identify. I'm just going to grab some of these and answer them so that we can go through. You'll see some of them have already been chosen. Based on my identity, I experience the following challenges. I require specific equipment in order to operate my transportation. People are unsure if I speak English. People presume I have no problems. People say things in front of me not realizing I belong to the group they're talking about. I require accommodations in order to work. People ask me inappropriate questions. Holidays meaningful to me are not widely celebrated or treated disrespectfully. I feel fearful of saying wrong things to people different from myself. It's interactive, so some of the questions are multiple choice, some of the questions are write-in answers so that people can express themselves more individually. And here I'm just going to show you a series of questions as well. This is currently powered by Typeform. One of the goals of this quiz is to help people understand the privileges that they have, which have been normalized for themselves. I'm able-bodied. We don't often think all the time about being able-bodied, if that's what we are. It's just normalized for us. Or having received a certain level of education or having traveled around the world. Hopefully, with this survey, the goal is for people to recognize, oh, that may not be something that someone else has. For example, some people live in food deserts and they don't have healthy options for food. Everything is fast food or liquor. When I have a big event like an engagement or a child, I receive public acknowledgement, such as gifts, a party, or congratulations. Now, this is not true for everyone. Some people may be in relationships or same-sex relationships, and so at work, some people may choose not to extend a congratulations as they might do for a heterosexual couple, etc. And that may be something that could be a pain point. That's just something to think about, which is what the survey is built for. So that is intention versus impact. Along with intention versus impact, there is a vlog that I've created. That's me. Impact, the first of the No Offense mobile app webinar series. I'm the founder of No Offense, Sonia Stovall. We start with this webinar series and make it available to everyone because we believe in starting with the fundamentals. That's why intention versus impact is the first in the webinar series. Today we're going to focus on someone very important, and that person is you. If you've not taken the self-survey, go back and complete that when you're done here, before you join the online chat community. Understanding ourselves and challenging our own perspectives here on the privacy of your laptop, tablet, or phone is a way to remove the excuses of feeling uncomfortable or too embarrassed to ask questions. So as I said earlier, I like for it to be interactive. This is a webinar that I recorded through Descript, if you're familiar with Descript. Now let's go back. So that's intention versus impact. The next section is called The Truth About Tropes. I rotate which features are free at times. However, Intention versus Impact is always available. The truth about tropes includes depictions of Asians in movies, white savior trope, the noble savage trope. And one of the ways that I combat the noble savage trope here is through a clip from the takeover of Alcatraz by Indigenous Americans. Here we talk about the model minority and whether or not that's good. And this is content which can always be added to in the future. Questions people ask people in a burqa. These are videos, and what these are about is getting the perspective of the person who has this lived experience rather than from me. So, for example, these are videos from people who are gay or wear a burqa, or straight men, half or gay men, people who wear hijabs in the U.S. military, diary of a U.S. detainee during the Japanese internment during World War II, Indigenous people answer commonly Googled questions. One of the things that I work to do with No Offense includes some humor, and sometimes these are hilarious, but that hopefully brings us together and resonates with people and activates something in them that says, oh, well, I didn't know that. And now they know, and they can feel more comfortable, and they didn't have to offend anyone, and they didn't have to ask anyone anything uncomfortable, which helps get rid of some of the emotional labor that is often put on people in quote unquote underserved or minority communities, having to be the person who not only deals with the microaggression or the treatment, but also being the person who has to educate as well. Inside the Amish Las Vegas, did you know that there was an Amish Las Vegas? So let's open that one, and you'll see here are the videos. This is a reel from the BBC. Is Juneteenth worth celebrating? So when I was teaching the university, one of the things I began to do as I reconstructed our ethics classes was tell stories. And I learned that my students were much more open and remembered things a lot better if they were told a story. And I believe that we're all that way. And so, is Juneteenth worth celebrating? That's going to be for you to decide. However, here's an opportunity for you to learn why or why not. Young people define Latin heritage. I think it's important to have different perspectives, whether that's older people in a community, young people in a community, and various communities. What is the history of Jews in the US? A lot of these sources are coming from the BBC or other resources that I've reviewed or learned over the years. So I'm using my legal education and my broadcast journalism education, as well as my years of teaching, to curate these resources. Here we have the comfort zone, where you can take an emotional intelligence quiz, learn more about it. Brown Eyes, Blue Eyes, a famous experiment from Jane Elliott in 1968. What's your unintentional bias? Everyone has one. I'll click on that one for you. I won't open each and everything because I believe that's going to take too long. However, I'm going to try and open as much as I can for you so that you can see that it works and understand the user experience. This is an opportunity for people to take the implicit bias quiz through Harvard. It has the necessary disclaimers, and it also has the information, as you can see here on the right side of the screen, about who to contact, where it's coming from, things like that. Unintentional bias is very important, and the Harvard implicit bias test includes categories on skin tone, weapons, and who has them. It challenges a lot of things that we see regularly. There's even a section on identifying presidents, which is supposed to help people understand that they assume things. Of course I know who that is, but oftentimes we don't. How emotionally intelligent are you? Again, this is an opportunity for self-assessment. And then, again, I'm using humor here between people who are very different to discuss emotional intelligence. So that is the comfort zone. Next, we have culinary cultural exchange. It's a place where I'm really hoping to build a community of people where they can share things about themselves, recipes. So many of us have stories about our grandparents or friends or getting together or people we've met around the world and sharing food and sharing stories. And a lot of times that's how we learn best about one another and learn our cultural competency. I do have content information banked for that, as well as content for lived experience, particularly a gentleman who was injured in a biking accident about 20 years ago, and he's been in a chair, a motorized chair since then. And so with the premise, why shouldn't you just pop into a handicap spot for 5 seconds or 5 minutes, or however long it's going to take for you to get your burrito or taco or run into the grocery store? And by watching Jason get up, get out of bed, get dressed, see what it takes for someone in that situation to just start their day differently than perhaps you and I do, I believe is something that will resonate with people and help them understand, oh, maybe I need to be more cognizant that those spaces have been designated for a reason. Ask Me Anything vlog number 1. This is a relaxed vlog that I do that not only welcomes the user, but also answers questions such as, have I ever been called the N-word? Or things people have asked me over the years through my own lived experience, questions I've received from students, questions I've received from participants in workshops. And I work with Colorado Space Business or working with scholars, whether PhD students or undergraduate students, working with people at various stages of their career who want to know how to navigate and do something as simple as perhaps throw the company Christmas party. And throwing the company Christmas party seems like it shouldn't be a big deal until you realize that the venue is going to offend some people and there's only an elevator on the second floor, and perhaps you have someone with mobility challenges or an elderly person. There are actually lots of things to consider in something that we might think should be simple enough. I'm going to open the vlog for you. This tells you a little bit about the Ask Me Anything vlog, how to submit a question. Hi, welcome to a segment called Ask Me Anything. I am Sonia Stovall, founder of the No Offense mobile app. Thanks for joining me here. I'm glad to have you. Now, Ask Me Anything is a concept for which I can't take credit. I do some work facilitating workshops in the aerospace industry, and at the end of each workshop, we have a little segment called Ask Me Anything. So I started doing that with them, and I thought that was a great idea, and I would continue it in my work here on the app and in webinars and in other workshops that I facilitate. Ask Me Anything can be tough. It can be really intimidating. I don't know what's going to get thrown at me. I don't know how someone's going to ask me a question, if they're going to be disrespectful or kind, or they're genuinely curious. So for me, this is work for which I have to get grounded. I have to prepare myself. So hopefully you will do that with me. So I'm going to start with some breath work, and Ask Me Anything will be segments where you will find me in a more relaxed environment, and we'll be more casual and just kind of hang out together. So today, my relaxed and casual environment is here in Martha's Vineyard in the woods. So it is you and me and the crickets. So that is the start of that particular vlog. And I really enjoy doing those. When I do them in person, it usually turns out incredibly well. And yes, I have gotten some tough questions. However, over the years, I've used my mediation training and tact and diplomacy in order to handle that. But I think it's very important, especially in a workforce development type situation. Here we have 5 cost-effective ways to culture coach. This is the food edition. And basically this is ideas for people who perhaps would like to learn more about a particular culture and they're not really sure how to get started, and they're on a tight budget. Perhaps they can't get on a plane and go to South Africa and see what's going on. Perhaps they can't even afford an Apple subscription to watch Reluctant Traveler with Eugene Levy, which is a great way to see some different parts of the world. But here is a place for free where you can come in and get some ideas, get some friends together, and choose to make a recipe, watch a movie along with that. I'm going to open that for you here. And I think food is a language everyone understands. Whether you're trying it and you're not sure, you try it and you don't like it. I mean, still, there's a way to be respectful and kind and have fun around that. And I feel that this is one of the great entry points for people to learn more about one another, get comfortable, and start a conversation. And a way for them to kind of culture coach or become more culturally competent on their own. So you've seen the Discover page, you've seen the learning community, you've seen the vlogs, which I've recorded in various places using various formats. You've seen the community, you've seen that we can potentially track an event for users. This one's always fun to open up here. This is actually just the account section behind this little red bubble. So if I were to pull that up, you would just see my name and account and information about how much activity I've done on the app myself and which activities or sections I've completed. And this is obviously confidential, so let me get that off of there. Here are the 2 plans I have right now. As I stated in the beginning, this is something that I can change and will change as necessary as I expand No Offense into perhaps more of a media outlet to the lived experiences, and hopefully give everyone an opportunity to have cultural competence in their pocket and work with organizations and corporations and businesses to give them an edge to make their mission statements and their promises to recruits about what a great culture they have a reality. Thank you, Techstars.